If you're hardcore into racing games, you're going to want to stick around and watch this. Rhino Rancor here, aka Tank from Flank and Tank. If you're back to the channel, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel. This is a video that is overdue, I would say. A lot of people have been asking me for this one ever since I told them what was going on. This is the video for my racing seat, or my DIY build as I called it the whole time I was making it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to split this video up into certain parts. We're going to go with the planning and the materials it took me to build my racing chair. We're going to talk about the actual build itself. We're going to talk about painting it, and then we're going to look at the finished product, the chair that I actually have sitting to my right here. And I'm going to sit down in it, and we're going to show you all the features of it and how it works and how it plays. So without further ado, let's get into the planning and the materials. Alright guys, let's talk about the planning and the materials that have to go into building one of these. Because there is not a ton of planning, but there's some planning that has to go into it. Because if you're like me, the first thing you want to do is make sure you actually have room for it. I had to make some room for it because it's bigger than what you would think it is. But actually, the first step in planning it is the plans itself. You're going to need some kind of blueprint to work off of, unless you're a carpenter and you're really good at this shit. So going through YouTube, I found a website called Ricmotech, and the guy that runs Ricmotech, Frank Rico, he sells the blueprints to make the chair, and I think it cost me like $34. I'm not sure exactly. I'll put the link to his website down in the description below. But you go on his website, and what he actually sends you is a step-by-step booklet. And the chair that I built, this is the Ricmotech RS1 chair. And this is the exact design I did. And this is actually step-by-step with pictures on how to put the chair together. This is an absolute essential part of building this chair. It makes it so much easier to do it. And along with this, he actually sends you templates. With these templates, you roll them out, you cut them out, you lay them down on the wood, and there you go. You cut along the dotted line, and you're set. You have the materials cut out, and all you have to do is assemble. So Ricmotech definitely makes this a lot easier. Like I said, I'll put the link for that down below. So once you have your plans, you're going to need the materials, screws, bolts. This particular chair is built out of 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch plywood. And it's very solid once you build it. So you're going to need the materials for that. I suggest a carpet for the base, which I bought. I haven't installed the carpet yet, as you'll see, but I do have it, and I plan on putting it in there. It's just a gray carpet to go with my black paint scheme. And you're also going to need some kind of monitor to put on top. I used my TV. Now the plans themselves come with a back plate that you can put on there to mount the monitor, so it's not sitting on the top of the rig itself, which is nice. I changed my plans a little bit, and I extended the back piece, so my TV actually sits on top of the rig itself. There's also optional plans you can buy on there where you can set up a 3 monitor setup if you have 3 monitors. So that's pretty neat. You gotta pay a little bit extra for that, but I mean, if you're going to run 3 monitors, it's definitely worth it. And you're gonna need a chair, and you can use any any seat out of any car will work. Bucket racing seats just fit the build a lot better. And I was lucky I had a friend give me a chair for my build. So I definitely appreciate that, Spaz. And I also want to thank all the guys at the Lowe's helping me put this together. The ones in millwork and paint and flooring that helped me get all the materials gathered up. I definitely appreciate that. And the last thing and the most important thing you need to get this chair up and running is the steering wheel itself. Now this particular chair is built for the Logitech G25, G27 racing wheels, and I chose to go with the G27. It's definitely an upgrade from the G25. Has different gears in it to make it quieter. Has a force feedback engine, so as you're turning through the track, you can feel the feedback from the road. It's got the H shifter on the side. Got metal pedals, the brake, the clutch, the gas. So you got the 3 pedals to play with. And I took mine out of the case, the foot pedals, inverted them upside down, as I'm going to show you in these pictures, and I mounted them upside down so that they come down from the top like a real car would, instead of having the plate on the ground with the pedals coming up from the floor. It just didn't feel real enough. So that's another option you can do, and that's in the plans that he sends you, how to do that. Take them out of the case, flip them up, invert them, and mount them to the rig like that. So that's all the materials you're going to need to put it together and get up and running. And then assembly wise, you know, like I said, step by step, they have the markings on the templates to pre-drill all your screw holes. I mean, it don't get much easier than that. So from there, you just go into finishing it, and you slap on some paint. So we'll talk about putting some paint on there. Now once I had everything all together, you know, I did a quick sanding job. Actually, I had a couple of the pieces I had sanded and got everything prepped before I put it together, and I painted it, a majority of it, before I screwed it together. That way I didn't cause any drips or anything anywhere I didn't want it to. And the paint I used on there was a Valspar paint, which I kind of rushed my build, I'm not going to lie, and I only put 1 coat of paint on there, and it held up pretty good. I thought the wood was going to soak up the paint more than it did, but it turned out pretty good for 1 coat of paint. If I could go back and do it again, I would definitely sand it down more and probably put a 2nd coat of paint on there. But I did take the sander and sand all the edges down, so I had nice smooth edges. Like I said, it's still pretty rough because I rushed it. And the paint's really all you have to do to finish it. I do have some like NOS stickers and stuff that I'm gonna stick on the side. I haven't done that yet. But yeah, paint goes real quick. You just slap it on there like I did, unless you want some kind of intricate, all tongue-tied, intricate paint job, which I would have loved to have done, but I'm not artistic when it comes to painting. So I just slapped the flat black paint on mine, or no, I got the gloss. Yeah, the Valspar gloss paint. Man, really tongue-tied tonight. But yeah, painting's simple. Goes by quick. With the particular wood I used, it dried fairly fast. So yeah, we'll move into the next step here. Alright guys, so this is it. I'm sitting in the finished chair here, and the first thing I want to point out about this chair, it is solid. It is solid as a rock. With all the plywood and screws that went into building it, this is not going anywhere. So you can set your force feedback up as high as you want on your steering wheel, and nothing's going to happen. It's solid. Now, one nice feature when you do build this, it's completely customizable to you in any way, shape, or form you want. You can, when you put this board in here that the steering wheel attaches to, you can lower it, you can raise it depending on your height, and you can hard mount everything to it. Like the shifter and the pedals I actually have screwed into the wood, so there's no way these are ever coming off unless I take the screws out. And that option is also available for the steering wheel, but I did not do that for the steering wheel. I used the clamps that come with it, which, I mean, it's not going anywhere either with the clamps that are on there. So yeah, it's completely customizable. The shifter I actually could have lowered to be more like a car shifter, closer to the floor, but being up right here doesn't bother me at all. It actually, from sitting in here and playing with it, feels comfortable. And I drive a stick, so I know what, you know, driving a stick down close to the floor feels like, and this isn't bad at all. It works for me. Another feature you can see is all the buttons that this steering wheel has. Any button in the game I can have macroed to my keyboard, or not my keyboard, my steering wheel. So I don't even need my keyboard and mouse to play this game once I get through the menus, and that is a big plus for me. And I don't know if you can see it, but this piece right here, and it doesn't work in this game. It does work in iRacing, which I know a lot of you want to see how it performs in a racing game, and I will put a video up for that, but for testing purposes we're going to use Euro Trucker 2. But this LED right here is basically a tachometer, and it'll light up green to yellow to red, and when it gets red it tells you when to shift. So that makes it a lot easier if you don't know how to drive a stick. Plus the paddle shifters, you can switch to paddle shifters, which I don't like because of the way this is set up. You still have to use the clutch with the paddle shifters, and if I'm using the clutch, I'd rather use the gear shifter. So let's move on to the actual game itself here. Like I said, this is Euro Truck Simulator 2. This is one of my favorite games to play on this rig. And part of the reason why I built it, like I said, the other reason is iRacing. So we'll show you my truck here. It's a Volvo. We'll load into the game. The trailer I have on here has some diggers on there, so we'll go and deliver my diggers. Okay, so here's the game. Game looks really good for a simulator. It's got a nice night-day cycle. I know a lot of people have been asking me about this game. One of my friends in particular has been looking into this game, says he really wants to play it. So hopefully he'll see this and maybe have the urge to go ahead and buy it. Now, the one thing I want to point out while I'm sitting here on the side of the road, if I turn my wheel, the wheel in game mimics identical to what I'm doing with the wheel. So that definitely gives it a better realism. We'll go ahead and start the truck here. Now I have it turned down right now because even though this has gears in it to make it quieter, it does still make quite a bit of noise with the force feedback. But if I were to turn this all the way up in the options, force feedback, it would be sitting here shaking like a real steering wheel would in a truck, which is a pretty cool feature. Like I said, I just have it turned down because it does get noisy after a while. So we'll go ahead and we'll pull out here. Hang on, I got a truck coming. We'll turn the turn signal on. This game has all the features that you'd expect a trucking game to have. Your turn signals, your lights, your windshield wipers. Oh, missed the gear there. You have to follow all the traffic rules, speed limits, stoplights. It's a great time killer, this game is. Now, as I'm driving this force feedback engine in here, I can feel, you know, every bump in the road. If I hit a rumble strip, I can feel the rumble strip in my hands, which is a nice feature. And especially on iRacing, when they laser scan the tracks, I can feel every bump in the track, which is amazing. And this is definitely more comfortable sitting in a computer chair at a computer desk. And it makes it a lot easier to play. Now, there's a lot of different options you can do that I plan on doing later. You can add subwoofers and butt kickers and things like that, mount it underneath the chair, which it has channels underneath of there when you build it, just for that stuff if you ever decide to add it. Which is another great feature for this chair. You can always customize it. You can always add things to it to make it better. But when you sit down in it, especially since it has a real car seat, you actually feel like you're driving these vehicles. Hopefully I don't roll my trailer here going on this off-ramp, because I'm terrible for rolling trailers. Another successful off-ramp. And the pedals, like I mentioned earlier, I inverted the pedals to come down from the top like a real car, and they just feel so much better once you have them mounted inverted. It's great. And it's the pedals for the Logitech G27 are made out of metal, and there's plastic in them where the spring goes around the springs, but for the most part they're all metal and they feel fantastic. There's upgrades you can do to them. You can get a real hydraulic brake pedal, where the harder you press the pedal, the harder the brakes engage in the game, to add more realism. Like I said, the amount of stuff you can add to these for a realistic effect is just outrageous. But for the price to build this, if you're on a budget, you can't beat it. And I actually didn't mention that earlier, so I'll go ahead and do that now. If you're looking to build one, you're probably looking $200 for materials such as the wood and the screws, the carpeting, everything you need for that. This particular steering wheel is the perfect steering wheel for this rig. It's not the only one that'll work, but it's what this rig was made for. But this will run you anywhere from $250 to $300, depending on where you buy it. We're going to pass this tanker up here. And you need the chair, which, you know, to buy a chair brand new, you're looking at $150, $200. You can go to any junkyard and rip one out of a car for $25 to $50. So altogether, you're probably looking anywhere to $600 to $700 to build this chair from the ground up. Which, considering to go on and buy an aluminum chair or any chair of that sort that's made for this, you're going to be spending upwards of $1,300 or more. The high-end ones run about three grand. So yeah, if you're on a budget, you know, $600, $700 compared to $1,300 is definitely a lot better. And like I said, this is just as solid or more solid than an aluminum chair any day. And because it's wood, if you add any subwoofers or transducers or butt kickers, it's going to transfer the rumble that much better throughout the chair. But it's going to take me another probably 20 minutes to deliver this load, so I'm not going to make you suffer through that. So I'm going to pull over on the side of the road here, parking brake, turn my truck off. But that is my video for my DIY racing simulator, the Ricmotech RS1. If you have any questions, if I didn't answer something that you wanted to know, just leave me a comment and we'll get to you as soon as possible. But that is it. That is my video, and I will see you next time.